All right, folks, welcome on back here this Thursday, August 26th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. My tongue is not tied here this afternoon. Great to see all of our students live inside Cyber Group, including Andrea, William, Leda. I got all of our students right above them. I see Michael, Wendy, Tony, Ray, Franny, and all of us otherwise. Great to see you all and all of us joining us on social media, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Welcome on back. So, I ended up refilling up on water, as you can imagine, here heading into this meeting. I was tripped up, at least in the morning, covering for Fausto. So, heading into this afternoon so far, hey, SGOC so far pushing up pretty nicely. $8.75 stock. Ended up breaking over actually the highs across the last week, including the run that we caught back from, I think that was Thursday or Friday last week. To wrap up the week last week, we ended up seeing the stock make a pretty nice pop. Back on the 18th, ended up popping from like 432 all the way up towards just about 823. So, I bring that up simply just to say, if we could even see this stock make a fraction of the move that this stock made a week ago, we'll be really happy, right? So, it's to say that the stock ended up doing even better. So right now, pushing back on up towards 9, you have a 20,000 share order on the ask sitting not at 9, but actually at 896. I would still assume 9 to be the bigger level so far, but either way, we're just going to start by putting the SGOC on our list here. Maybe back on our list, I should rather say. All right. So aside from that, though, I got to say we did really well from this morning. The stocks that we had on the pre-market watch list, most of them we ended up trading all throughout the pre-market. From the stocks that we had on the morning watch list, I'll be honest, most of the stocks that we ended up putting on the list ended up hitting pretty nicely in one way or another. So let's recap at least everything that we called out, and then from there we'll go from top to bottom. The INO trade not doing much right now for us, actually a better short than a long, but ended up, as you could see, making a nice pop after 9:30. The stock was coming off of phase 3 news for their COVID vaccine. So they had a couple of more tests to do, but the headline looked pretty positive, pretty good. And with that, we ended up seeing a nice pop after the open, at least from 9 towards 950 and above. Came back down after, and the stock actually is shortable, so it did crap out the other way, and it was a good short. For right now, though, heading into this close, it's just trading very light volume per minute. It's just washed up now. Speaking of washed up, geez, what happened to ride here, right? The stock ended up making as good of a move up as we would want, but man, ended up dropping off similar to the INO, and I ended up doing really well on this stock, no pun intended, but ended up holding support right off the opening bell print. You could see here, I'll zoom in a second, but at 665, that was the opening bell print price. And with that in mind, I saw the stock take off without me at first. When it pulled back down, it broke below it, popped back above it. I was in from 669. Ended up riding it up at first, and then I got tripped up at first. I took 10 cents. I ended up losing 8 cents because I tried shorting it. It got choppy. I didn't think it was going to be as choppy as it was here. So, I wish I could say I held on the whole way through. Thankfully, I made up for it, ended up jumping back in as a long at 687, ran it up pretty nice. I got out on half my position at 703. That doesn't sound so good. I ended up getting out on the second half of that position at 777. So, 2 pennies off right from the high. Ended up dropping back down, and again, was as good of a short as it was a long for the most part, right? So, for right now, heading into this afternoon, not doing as much. But I always bring this up, folks. It sounds funny when I say it, but when a stock craps out the other way, when it reverses, for the most part, if it is shortable, it's not just just shorting and expecting it to drop. You got to look for the trend to break, for support to break, perhaps more than anything. So I know, I ended up jumping in on the short a couple of times. Michael, one of our students, got about 45, 50 cents, and maybe even more. I don't want to shortchange him on his trade, but he did pretty well on the short on ride earlier today as well. So yeah, this stock has been on our side list, but I was very emphatic about trading this going into the open, just given that we are pretty familiar with the stock. A lot of us have traded the stock on and off, or on and off in the past. So all right, so that brings me now to the SPRT trade. So, as you can see, this one ended up making yet another push up. I really didn't jump in on this as much up until the early parts of the afternoon. I was in this trade all from 16, and then now I've been in and out a couple of times, very actually break even. So choppy, but it was holding support, not even a $17, but we ended up seeing a smart money print get filled right off 1695. I forgot the size of the transaction off the top of the head right now. I apologize on that. It is a 33,000 share print filled at 1695. That doesn't seem that big, but in relation to the rest of the volume that's been filled on the time and sales, that one print is the biggest we've had since the opening bell print. So, with it right now actually pulling back below that price or dancing around it, if it's not breaking higher, folks, I say it all the time, right? It's not breaking higher. There's only one other way the stock's going to go. So I even said that right as we started the meeting. I typed that in the trading room, 226. It's my last post before I press start here. But I said if 1695 breaks as support on SPRT, I'm expecting a big drop. Right here is when it ended up breaking. It led to a big drop right out the gate, but it's recovered. But, if it ends up beginning to slump off, if it's not going to pop, tick tock, right? I mean, sooner than later, this thing's got to go. So we still have an hour plus left of, and close to an hour and a half left of time left. But here, it's in a very do or die state here for me because, we saw the stock break out from a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Again, we talked about it from like $8.59. We get spoiled at times by seeing stocks make 100% move, 150% move in the course of a day. But the stock has been on a huge tear, right? Don't take that for granted. So for right now, it's got to really begin to go, in my opinion, this SPRT trade. If it ends up popping here, I was led to believe that there's a pretty good chance that we'll see 18 today. We did really well on this trade going into yesterday afternoon in class. So hopefully hopefully history repeats itself. All right, Tom, one of our gold students here, he ended up jumping in on the SGOC trade. He was in at 227 Eastern, out at 229. Let me just jump back to that quick. Got 28 cents in 2 minutes. Jeez, that's a nice catch, Tom. He was in from $8.56 out at $8.85. Really nice job. All right, cool. So I'll tell you, folks, we did really well across the morning. I only went over 3 of the stocks that were on the morning list that we did pretty well on. Don't forget about the SLQT trade. The stock doesn't really seem to be looking that great now, but it actually provided as a huge short once the market opened up. Stock was breaking all-time lows going into the market open. So that's what I was more harping on than anything else. So with there being no historical bottom, it allowed the stock a much greater chance or opportunity to break lower. All right. All right. So I'll tell you what, that SPRT trade's dropping off right now, but I got this up on another screen that you can't see. I'm setting up an order right now to buy it if and only if it could pop over 17. If it doesn't do that, I'm not touching it. Just letting you folks know. But yeah, SPRT on our list, SGOC on our list. This, for right now, it's not doing a whole lot. I mean, it looks like there was a bit of a volume spike after 130 or right before 130 here. So if it ends up beginning to pull back more, I'll reconsider it. But, for right now, we'll keep it on the side. All right, so folks, what we'll do is go from top to bottom. The GSMG trade was on the list, was on the morning list, but I was a little reluctant with it. With the stock, it's one that we're not really as familiar with. But I say that because, unless it's a new IPO, the stock, there's a reason why we haven't really traded it over the months or years. It's likely either trading a very low volume per minute, or there just isn't a whole lot of news out on it to pump the stock up. And with that, we ended up seeing some news come out this morning. But once the market opened up, stock dropped off. It led to a bounce, a little bit of a bounce here, but we were waiting for 2. So I didn't catch it. It led to a nice squeeze at the time. So I hope a couple of us were able to jump in on it. But yeah, right now, this stock is doing nothing for us here. I was hoping for the bounce from 2 and I didn't get it. So here I'm not expecting the bounce and then the pop all the way back up to 240, 250 and beyond. So, this one's done for right now. All right, so we keep it going. Got a bunch of unfamiliar names here. I don't know why I clicked on this, trading 92,000 shares across the day. All right, let's see what else we got here. Too cheap, too expensive. SPRT is already on our list and tanking. BYSI is a familiar name, and I guess the stock has broken higher from where it was back a few weeks ago. So going back into the beginning of this month, the stock ended up making a huge run for us. Actually, how about this? Well, let's go back in time a little bit. I got a little time myself, so let's take a look back on what happened on August 4th, because I bring this up to you. This stock, BYSI, was up 342% in pre-market trading this morning on August 4th. The stock was easy to borrow. Believe it or not, this stock up 314+% or whatever, the hell it was. It was shortable. It was easy to borrow. Now, in pre-market, that is a really dangerous trade. You do not really want to do that. So it's to say I didn't take this myself, folks. I was gunning for it. I was hoping that this was holding where it was here going into 9 o'clock. It did not. It dropped off, and it would have made a hell of a short and just moved without me, unfortunately. So, hey, history can repeat itself here, but for right now, this stock is actually above the highs that we had back from August 4th, right above 30.01 back on August 6th, just a penny above that it popped. But let's go back to today's chart. Oh, that's the future chart. There we go. Yeah, for right now, I guess in the meantime, popping and dropping from that high here, already back below 30. I don't know. It has a very thin order book. So either way, I'm not too keen or particular about putting this on our main list. It's interesting to see it above the highs, at least for right now. And I think that could be all-time highs. Let me double check on that. That would pique my interest more, perhaps. Nope. I guess not just yet. I don't know. BYSI, but dropping off either way from 30. Oh, yeah, I was going to say we're going to go over Bitcoin today, but today's not Friday. Today's Thursday. It feels like a Friday here in the Cyber Group room. Let's see what else we got here in the meantime, though. We'll get to Bitcoin tomorrow, of course. Right now, it's pulling back, so it's not as if I don't want to show it. It's just the fact that finally Bitcoin's dropping, and I was saying it was going to drop for like a week or two now. So I'm not surprised. I'm not going to add more now at this point, but we'll talk about that tomorrow morning. AEHR, not much going on there. The Cody stock ended up making a pop early on, but died off since. VRPX, former runner. Got to jump back to my monthly chart, switch that back to a daily. All right, let's jump over to the losers list. Actually, that's a weekly. We'll jump that back here. There we go. Let's hop over to the losers list in the meantime. The SLQT trade. Geez, tongue twister. Still moving sideways right now. Not much going on there. The stock YSG I didn't put on the main list, but it also did drop off pretty nicely, breaking all-time lows today, but it's also pretty flat here in the meantime. Abercrombie & Fitch, shortable at least. Not much going on, though. All right, I'll tell you what, folks. I know where this is going. So, I'll check out Nordstrom here to wrap it up. But if there's anything else that you see that's up, down, left, right, more than 5%, type it in the chat boards, type it in social media, Facebook Live, or YouTube. And otherwise, let me know. Ooh, checking in on YouTube right now. TKAT, how about that? TKAT, we got one of us on YouTube. He was in from, or perhaps they were in from 11:20 out at 13:48 this morning, and that they were in on the SLQT trade at 8:04. Are you in long or short on that one from 8:04? The SLQT trade? Assuming long. He says to correct me there. I always like to make sure. It's 2021 now it is. All right. We got from RJF. He got 50 cents on TKAT in at 11. Very nice. On YouTube. A couple of our YouTube attendees here. Did I cover the JWN stock from David? I did. It just didn't really seem like it was going anywhere. I guess like close to the lows. But I don't know, for $28 stock, right? We talked about that yesterday in class. I put it on the list yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know. It didn't really make for as big of a drop as we were hoping for. That's all. Suppose Pola going anywhere from later. It was very spotty up until 2:30. So even if it does push up afterwards, I'm not going to put it on our list just yet. If it does pop, we'll call it out. I'm sure we'll find it again. But right now, I'd rather pass on it. The SPRT trade, I mean, for right now, we'll keep this on our list. But I told you, if it were to break over 7, I would jump in. Right? It did not since I had said that. So, right now it's just dumping off. I'm not going to jump into this trade unless it gives me the opportunity. We're going to keep our eyes on this trade, though, in the meantime, just given how frequent this stock has, run up for us over the last week. All right, folks, that's going to be it from me here. You got me back tomorrow morning. I believe Fausto will be out of the office again for Friday, and then he'll be back, I believe, on Monday. But otherwise, I'll let you know officially. But Tom, once again, getting in on the SGOC trade. Tom B live inside our cyber group room. He got 19 cents just now, in from 850 and out at 869. Really nice entry and exit there, Tom. Really nice exit more than anything, I'd say. Great job getting out. You can get right back in if it gives you the chance, and just reset. All right, folks. Nice. All right. So for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, Facebook Live, as always, I'll probably trip that up, but I appreciate you folks sticking with me each and every day, and especially the whole day today. But I look forward to catching back with you folks tomorrow morning. If you have any other questions, please be sure to send it right over to my email address, my email right there. My name is Josh Levitan, josh@c2trading.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you folks have. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions and if you're ready to join us live inside our trading room, feel more than free to do so by going right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. All right, I feel like I'm tripping my tongue up here a little bit. I got to refill up on the water here before we head into the afternoon, folks. I'll talk to you all inside the live trading room pretty shortly from right now. Jeez, take care.